unofficial Universal Orlando podcast is a member of the Mice Chat Podcast Network. MicePod.com. Now, discover the universe, one theme park at a time.
Greetings, Universal fans! This episode was made possible by Fairy Godmother Travel and the Producers Club. So let's join the gang as we discover more about the Universal Orlando Resort, as well as Universal Studios Hollywood, Japan, and Singapore.
Hey everybody, and welcome to episode 152 of the unofficial Universal Orlando podcast. Joining me today, we have Tracy.
Hello!
And we have Lee.
Boop, 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 doop, boop, boop. Hello everyone!
Hunter is still absent. It's been a week and they're still without power. He's getting desperate now. He's been living at the Y. But we do have a special guest in today, and that is Jim Hill. Jim Hill, how you doing?
I wasn't told we had to have a signature noise. I'm looking around for something to squeeze or. I got nothing. Okay, so.
I've been trying to come up with an intro for 4 years I've been doing this show, and I've finally got one.
No, you're still looking for one, dear.
Okay.
Jim, I think this actually makes you our most visited, the guest we've had on the show most now, definitely, without a doubt.
Yes.
Well, you know, if you guys would just lock the back door, this wouldn't be an issue. Just keep wandering in. You know, it's more of a security issue, folks. So let's be honest here.
We'll just set up a little bed and a bowl of water in the corner.
Anyone who listens to the
he
show
shows up, you know, just to Beetlejuice, and there he is.
Yeah.
So,
Anybody who knows the security on this show isn't very good, because we let Derek Bergen on every now and again.
Mm-hmm.
Well, see, now you have standards. All right,
All right, well, today we are talking about Skull Island.
Yes, we are.
Right, well, we're going to start this off with, we're going to play the audio from that little teaser video thing that Universal released a couple of months back, so I'll put that on for you now.
For the past 25 years, Universal Orlando Resort has been delivering incredible guest experiences. And now we are really, really excited to announce a brand new attraction called Skull Island Reign of Kong. The new attraction will be located at Universal's Islands of Adventure. And soon, you'll be able to make out the Great Wall with its massive temple gates, which will serve as a beautiful backdrop to our iconic entrance. Once on Skull Island, you'll board revolutionary ride vehicles to begin your expedition. But it quickly turns into a fight for survival as you encounter creatures of unknown origin and even the Great Kong himself. We have massive sets, massive ride vehicles, massive characters and creatures, a massive story. The entire experience is really going to be larger than life.
It does get you excited for that attraction.
No, I felt something snort on my shoulder there. That was right behind me.
Jim, right, okay, so obviously since that video got released, there's a lot more work being done on the facade of that building, and it looks amazing.
Oh, very much so. Though, you know, again, in classic Universal, didn't they start constructing this back in, October, November of last year, and I didn't say a word?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, I just...
The Jurassic Park entrance, didn't it, got took down, seems like a long time ago now.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, I just remember standing, what is it, at the side of Cabana Bay that faces across the entry road there, and just, again, just looking at this giant building rising up, at, you know, and of course now, what is it, it's painted, you know, they've got all the greenery in place, and they painted it go away gray or look away green or whatever they call it. And, you know, now it's all about getting it ready, you know, the portion that's facing into the park ready. I have to admit, I'm kind of intrigued because my understanding this was supposed to be open in 2016 initially. Had you guys heard that, or?
Yeah, it is opening in 2016, isn't it?
Well, no, I mean, I'm sorry, 2015, 2016, as in this was supposed to be part of the 25th anniversary celebration.
Yeah, because we were hoping it was going to be open for when we came out this year, because I had heard rumours that potentially soft openings would be around October, November.
Yeah. And that's, I guess, what confused me, because I'd actually heard at one point that they were trying to have this open for this summer. And,
Right.
I guess it's one of these things where Universal initially didn't do a whole lot to dissuade people from that. It was only after the announcement that they, were very clear about, no, 2016.
Right.
Which based on what some Orlando locals I know who are kind of associated with projects, they've suggested that Universal may have hit some issues during the construction phase of this that kind of threw them off.
Okay.
To be fair, it was also a very wet spring, and they'd work quickly to enclose the building. But as I think you guys have no doubt heard, this is going to be perhaps the most elaborate queue that Universal has ever done. And given that these are the folks that did the ET Adventure, that's saying something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But when I talked with Mike West about this, he was very insistent that this is not your standard queue. This is not, in fact, given that there's at least a couple of issues that made me think that, you might have a problem or two here. They talk about how with this queue, for example, one of the reasons that they may have pushed it out to 2016 is that horticulture has to get in and really plant this thing up. They have to give it time to grow out, because the whole notion is that it's this overgrown temple that reveals itself as you push through the jungle.
Wow.
Of course, yes.
So obviously things have to grow in order to obscure it. And, bamboo grows quickly, but not that quickly.
Yeah,
true.
But the other thing, and in fact, if you poke around this is bubbled up a couple of times. They talk about, as you're making your way through the queue, you encounter the natives who live on the island, the islanders, and they're not happy to see you. And it's just one of these things where it's like, okay, so how are you going to do that? And more to the point, given that this is, where this attraction is opening in our terribly politically correct age of 2015, 2016, how are you going to do this in a way that isn't going to, somebody who I was offended.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the United States. We get offended very easily
Yes.
about a lot of things. So, and that was the thing. Mike would talk about this and then step quickly by it, because I don't think at this point they really wanted to get into the specifics.
Because it seems like the speculation is it's that a lot of people are expecting it to be kind of Halloween Horror Nights maze-ish, that there will be scare actors in there maybe.
But see, the problem with doing something like that is that you then have to work the math. You have to, okay, so, think about it. When somebody works in a maze at Universal, they get a half hour on stage, a half hour off. Mm-hmm. And a maze typically runs, they sweep the park. It opens again at 6 or 7 o'clock at night, and typically they're done by midnight. So staffing something like that, you have to think, okay, so that's 5 hours. We need to have at least 2 people per position, and you can see how that. In fact, that's, don't get me wrong, Universal makes a lot of money off of Halloween Horror Nights, and they're perfectly willing to do this. On the other hand, if you're talking about staffing a position inside of an attraction that potentially will be open, during the year. I mean, think about it. There are times when Island Adventure is open from 8 o'clock in the morning till 11 o'clock at night.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, how many people do you have to hire for this particular position? So I don't know. Knowing, what I do about theme park financing, I think this is more 3D audio. I think this is video elements. That's because, half of the problem of doing this sort of thing is you have to move people through a queue.
Yeah.
You have to get them, pulse that group of people through. You want your at least 1,800 to 2,400 people per hour. And remember, at the end of this thing, there's a giant troop carrier that people are climbing on board and getting ready to roll into the temple. What's kind of funny about this is that you guys know which spot this occupies on the island, right?
Yeah, it's just in between Toon Lagoon and like the entrance to Jurassic Park, isn't it?
Yeah, but this was actually where the Jurassic Park Jeep Safari was supposed to go. So it's kind of ironic that we're trading out one experience. I mean, in fact, if you guys go to Google and type in Jeep Safari, there's an awful lot of concept art that slipped out about this.
That
and
was
you can
the Goddard
see,
group, wasn't it?
I think you're right. That's and they were fairly far along on it, as I recall.
Yeah.
But it was very much the notion of just giving people that other component from the Jurassic Park films that they wanted. They wanted what we saw Alan Grant going through. You're riding the Jeep and dinosaurs menace you.
It made more sense than the river adventure, let's be honest.
Yeah, but at the same time, I mean, remember that there's so much of islands. In fact, I was just reading recently Sam Ganaway's excellent book about Universal versus Disney. You guys picked that up, didn't you? Or?
Yeah, we had
Yes, we
Sam
did.
on to talk about it recently, actually.
Oh, cool. All right. But there's a wonderful section in the book where they talk about how at that time when Islands was initially being developed and back when it was going to be called Cartoon World, this was supposed to be Universal's #1 park. So, the notion was that this would become the Magic Kingdom, that would be the place you went to first and then went over to Universal Studios. So, as they started going forward, and obviously the whole deal with Warner Brothers fell apart over our licensing fees and money. When they started dropping Universal properties in, that aesthetic still stayed. The notion was that, Jurassic Park, the island, would open with one, set of attractions, and then year 2, year 3, this would come online. And of course, that didn't happen for a variety of reasons, most of which was the whole Universal Escape marketing campaign.
Yeah. We all know how that went down.
Well, the weird thing is you can go to YouTube right now. They are incredibly clever commercials. I mean, that they really are. But they tell you absolutely nothing about, what the park is. It's just sort of like, wow, Spider-Man is fighting on a plane, or a guy is tossing a frisbee and a or Triceratops comes running out at him. And it's just it's one of these things where they're all really clever, but it's just that at the end of it, it's like, well, what was that? I don't know. It was clever. So they've held this land for this entire period, and in hindsight, I guess if they had known that Jurassic World would go to $1 billion in the fastest ever in the history of film, there might have been another conversation about, did we really want to let that expansion pad go?
Yeah, you beat me to a question I was actually going to ask. I think they wish they'd been a little bit less hasty with it and maybe hung about. I can't believe they didn't expect that film to do as well as it did.
Well, and the weird thing is Disney knew. I mean, in fact, I was actually at a Universal Halloween Horror Night press event, I want to say in 2014. They were just showing off what was it? Roanoke, the maze that was tied to the Virginia colony. And we're all, just waiting to go in, and everybody's phones go off, and Universal had announced the release date of Jurassic World that day. And as we're standing there, the Walt Disney Company is moving Pirates of the Caribbean 5 away from that weekend. It's like, they knew instantaneously. It's like, okay, this is going to suck up, all of the oxygen in the room. Mm-hmm. And, let's get some distance between the T-Rex and Jack Sparrow. But at the same time, the weird thing is that here's Universal cutting this deal with Legendary, the production house, because they were working on the Skull Island prequel, and they knew from all of the guest comment cards, and just there's this whole group of fans who just miss Confrontation. Since since it opens, or excuse me, since it closed in September of 2002. It's been just this endless stream of people like, where's Kong? And it's like, well, we took him out of the park. And don't you enjoy the Mummy ride? It's like, no.
I think it's that thing, isn't it, Jim, that they've seen how well just putting the Kong 360 into Hollywood's done for that park, that let's pull the stops out and put it back in Orlando as well.
Well, but, what's kind of interesting is that it's always hard to gauge the sort of impact that when you add something to the tram tour. I mean, there was sort of anecdotal evidence that, that really had helped the summer when Kong 360 came online at that park. I mean, that's we're only 5 years. In fact, it was July 1st, 2010, when that initially opened up. And they had a very strong year that year. Now, mind you, just this past weekend, I'm sure you heard the stories about how Fast and Furious Supercharged officially opened.
Yeah.
And for the first time ever, Universal had to turn people away because they had filled all their parking garages.
Wow. I know I've seen pictures recently going about that the park's been pretty rammed for the last few weeks.
Which is a good thing. I mean, they've in fact, I'm going to try to get out there. Again, the trip we were talking about earlier about Comic-Con and the Disney Family Museum, trying to get a day there just to check out the new nighttime tram tour, which wasn't that supposed to go online for the 4th, or did that get pushed off?
That was what I heard as well.
Yeah, I know they've been doing soft open, at least, with it, because it was for a couple of months now, actually, or at least since last month. Behind the Thrills posted a video of the whole nighttime tour. Okay. But yeah, I think the official opening was for the weekend of the 4th. I think it went off.
All right, because for the very same reason we're just talking about, the sort of staffing that you'd have to do if you had actual islanders, natives, whatever, in the Skull Island queue. That's the thing of the nighttime tour, is that suddenly you have to have a Marty and Doc Brown, and not only have a Marty and Doc, but you have to have a replacement one so that they can be, they can have their breaks. Likewise, Marilyn, likewise, all of those performers who are now part of the nighttime tour. I mean, that suddenly bumps your operational number in a tough direction. But anyway, back to Skull Island. The weird thing with Mike, though, when asking him about this, it's like, this is not the tram tour. He was very emphatic about, we're not reusing footage. This is all brand new stuff. And yet, the very notion of, they tell everybody who climbs into this ride vehicle is being issued a set of mind goggles, so it's like, yeah, okay. So we're back in 3D footage country. So, it's supposed to be a mix of, 3D film and huge animatronic props. And I was intrigued by that phrase. Not animatronic figure, animatronic props.
Yeah.
I think when you factor in just the sheer scale of this thing, I mean, that's one of the few numbers they let out there was the size of the door for Skull Island. I want to say 72 feet or something to that effect. And just the notion of you get, and again, you get the weird. While this is built on a part of where Jurassic Park was supposed to be built, you now get the Jurassic Park moment. The giant gates open and you roll through. Only, this is not Jurassic World. You are menaced from, about 5 seconds in. But I guess what's kind of intriguing about this is that when I pressed Mike on this issue, this isn't tied to the King Kong movies, and this is not tied to the Skull Island project. In fact, Kong Skull Island, I guess, is the new name of the film, which has had a tough week. I'm sure you probably heard that both Michael Keaton and J.K. Simmons exited the film, supposedly for timing issues.
Okay.
That they had pushed the start of production back from this fall to the end of the year. And supposedly, one of the reasons that was done is that Jurassic World had done so much business. We were suddenly in... I don't know if you heard the story about what happened with Disney and Iron Man 3.
Yeah, they made it and it was terrible.
Well, except for the fact that it made $1 billion.
Yeah.
And the reason, and the weird thing is they were shooting it as the first Avengers movie was in theaters. And that was making a ridiculous amount of money. And at Disney, they suddenly realized that, oh my God, they're going to measure the next Iron Man film. Against the Avengers, and we're going to come up wanting. And so they call Shane Black. I mean, he's directing the movie, and it's like, Shane, it's Disney and Marvel on the phone, and it's like, when you're a director, that's never a good call.
No.
It's like, well, okay, I've enjoyed working on this. They're about to replace me, and it's like, no, they went the exact opposite way. They were like, hey, Shane, how would you like another $50 million? And it's like, really? Yeah, your movie is going to be compared to the Avengers, so you need to add some bigger action scenes. And I think that if I'm not mistaken, I think that's where the Air Force One scene came from, was part of the go out and reboard this and bump up the size of it. And that's what I've actually heard is happening with Kong Skull Island.
Okay.
The worry is that, this movie is now going to be measured against Jurassic World.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's like
dinosaurs.
Yeah.
No, that's it exactly. So, but the problem with that is you need more production time. And I guess the thing with both Michael Keaton and J.K. Simmons, it's coming off of Whiplash and Birdman. These guys are two guys very much in demand, and it's like, they, when they slid the start of filming from fall to the end of the year, it's like, I'm booked, guys. It's just, I would still love to do this movie, but I'm booked. And, they both had to exit. So Tom Hiddleston is still on board. But again, this attraction is not it's going to be set on the island, but it's not going to feature story elements or, the only thing that all three of these things are going to have in common is Kong. And again, this is kind of the Peter Jackson Kong, for better or for worse. And, and again, with a Jeep vehicle driving us through dimensional sets, past 3D film, giant 3D screens, with animatronic props. And Universal being Universal, we will probably learn more about storyline and get some actual concept art sometime early next year, hopefully as part of the fall. But just to be honest here, this being the 25th anniversary of Halloween Horror Nights, I mean, that's going to be the primary focus of this whole thing.
And so it should
at least
be.
the fall.
Because I can't wait.
You're not the only one.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 8th wonder of the world is returning to Universal Orlando Resort. So let our friends at Fairy Godmother Travel take care of the resort reservation. They are a Universal Parks and Resorts specialist, as well as being an authorised Disney vacation planner, and their service is free to you. From the awesome Cabana Bay Hotel to those other hotels run by a mouse, Fairy Godmother Travel can book all your Orlando vacation needs. So, you don't need to miss the chance to see the amazing King Kong in the flesh. And please make sure to let them know that you heard about Fairy Godmother Travel because of UUOP. Because every UUOP referral helps us to continue to bring you the greatest Universal coverage. Contact them today by phone at 832-284-4002 or toll free at 888-939-642539 or go to fairygodmothertravel.com.
Let Fairy Godmother Travel make your next vacation magical.
We now return you to your regularly scheduled programming.
Are we going to get a live team member like they're going to put a dead one on? Are they actually going to put a team member on those Jeeps? Because that was one of the big speculations when it first got announced that we were going to get like a... You know, Disney have pretty much eradicated that from their attractions, and from what we're hearing with Disaster potentially going soon, there's not going to be much of it in Universal anymore. Are we going to get that on Skull Island, Jim?
I'm afraid not. In fact, if you look at the concept art, there's, and again, doing concept art is an art unto itself. You create this image that gets people excited but gives very little real information. And if you look at that artwork, there isn't anybody in the driver's seat. But the weird thing is, I think in a theme park world, unless your character, whoever's driving the vehicle, is a key part of the story.
Yeah.
Whether it's Rex for Star Tours or C-3PO for Star Tours, the adventure continues. I think we've all kind of moved past the point, like, oh my God, the vehicle's moving by itself. We're in a theme park, all right? You came through a turnstile. You've been walking through a queue. It's like, there's a ride vehicle at the end.
This is true.
It's not like, hey, it's driving by itself. I'm getting out of here. No, we're kind of past that at this point. If anything, that's why I always feel bad when I do Indiana Jones Adventure in California, because invariably, some father will put their child in the driver's seat with the actual steering wheel, and what are you doing? You're getting us killed. Sort of like, that's what every child wants, on their vacation. It's just added pressure.
But you miss, I do miss like the aspect of Jaws where the actors got so good at, the layout and how everything goes that they're able to improvise and put their own twist on that kind of thing. And
absolutely.
I miss seeing that there.
Half the fun of a really good attraction like that is, the person who's spieling.
Yeah.
But, as you've noticed, as these things fall off, the map, so to speak. I know Disney has kicked the tires for a couple of years about, can we actually get the humans out of the Jungle Cruise, or, let's not overlook the obvious here. In the amount of time that it will take Disney to redo that park, we'll have 5 and 6 major new attractions from Universal. And Kong, it's kind of weird. Kong will have settled in right behind Transformers and the Spider-Man 4D redo, and will just be another killer attraction in a park that just gets better and better and better. Again, it'll just be interesting to watch Disney deal with this. That I think the 1-2 punch of Kong coming online, coupled with what's going on with the Sapphire Hotel. We were just talking a little bit earlier about that. That's really when you understand sort of the hidden agenda of that project, in that it's expanding the convention space that's available at the hotel right next door. the Royal Pacific.
Yeah.
I mean, you've seen the plans. It's the walkway that connects the two hotels, and at either end of the walkway is the convention space.
Yeah.
And so what'll happen is Universal will now be able to offer this, on-site convention space to far larger groups, because it's like, look, while it is two different hotels on either side of this convention space, this is just one giant piece of convention space, and happy to make it available to whatever group wants to come online there. But yeah, Sapphire Falls will open next year, late next year, and then right behind that comes Volcano Bay, and which you just got to admire the balls of building that right up against I-4.
Yeah.
And, just particularly driving by it at night when the volcano is doing all of its light effects and that sort of thing.
You think everybody coming into the area is going to drive past it from the airport?
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, no. And that's the one flaw in the plan, because if you remember correctly, the B line to the airport is really 1.5 miles, 2 miles further up the road. And anybody who's driving to Disney will automatically peel off to the west. But seriously, anybody coming up I-4 to the from the east is going to see this thing and go, "Holy, what is that?"
Yeah.
But that's what's kind of interesting about all of the construction that's been going on lately, whether it's the Orlando Eye or that sort of thing, and and then of course there's that other little part of the the equation with Wet n Wild shutting down in 2016, so that Volcano Bay can be the only Universal water park in Florida, and it just that's a giant piece of real estate, guys.
It is.
It is.
Yeah.
Do we know what's going there, Jim? I've heard rumors.
It's hard not to, understanding that they let all of that real estate go up by the convention center. I want to say 2005, 2006, back when they were getting, Universal was changing hands yet again, before the Comcast people came through the door. It's hard not to look at that piece of real estate and assume that they aren't going to do something of size that connects to the resort. The challenge is right now, what is that? Is that another park? That would seem to be the smart idea.
That's what I'd heard, and we'd heard that rumor, 2 years ago?
At least, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
We're talking about the Wet n Wild property?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, the problem with that is, I think the size, really, it's 50 acres when that's half the size of what Universal Studios Florida has.
But then doesn't include some of that lagoon as well, I heard.
Well, I mean, there's supposedly a couple of pieces of property that Comcast, NBC, Universal already quietly grabbed up. Face it, this is kind of similar to what's going on in California right now with Disney. I mean, that's what's really interesting right now, is that we are in the middle of this, and it's all great for us as theme park fans, but we are in the middle of this theme park arms race. Whether it's, and make no mistake, in California, the whole Disneyland resort is looking over its shoulder and is somewhat terrified by what happens March of 2016 when their version of Harry Potter opens. Everybody knows, the power of butterbeer and, just, and the notion that, that Disneyland is the world's most famous regional theme park, and what they try to do every year is to convince Southern Californians to come to Disneyland at least twice. So that's why you get those big Halloween events, you get the big Christmas event, and Disney rolls out a parade or a new nighttime fireworks thing, in addition to new attractions. But it's all about getting people to come back. And in the Southern California market, to suddenly have people decide, I'll go to Disneyland once this year, but I really have to go to Universal and check out Harry Potter or that new nighttime tram tour or that new Fast and Furious supercharged thing. That's going to hit, Disney in an interesting place. They're going to have to spend some big dough to get people to come back to. And meanwhile in Florida, I mean, Disney is still got basically 75% market share. Universal has definitely been creeping up, but a lot of that is just coming from people who are, I used to go to SeaWorld, but then they started to talk about the killer whales, and suddenly that just didn't seem like the good thing to do. And I mean, Universal was lucky enough to have that happen at the exact same time they brought Harry Potter online. And, and people were going home evangelizing about how much they enjoyed Hogsmeade. It's like, oh, you got to go. I'd never seen anything like this before. And then to open Diagon Alley and have that be that much better than Hogsmeade. They're going to ride. Well, I think we talked about this previously, that within Universal, the term they use is the Potter effect. And it typically lasts 2 years, or at least based on what they learned from Hogsmeade. And so the clock is ticking, obviously, on Diagon Alley. But the interesting thing is the timing we were talking about for Kong is correct, that just about the time that people will lose their, must go to Orlando, must see Diagon Alley, here comes this e-ticket plus for Kong. And hopefully, within a year, 6 months of that opening, we have Volcano Bay, which, that's... I mean, I love that Universal had the guts to call it the world's first water theme park.
Yeah.
And I immediately called friends at Disney, and what do you have to say about this? And they were just sort of gritting their teeth because it's like our stuff is probably just as detailed, if not more so, than what they're going to do at Volcano Bay. But because we don't want to confuse people on Disney property, we want them to go to our 4 theme parks, and also, if they've got an extra half day or thereabouts, go to one of our water parks. But to call Blizzard Beach or Typhoon Lagoon a water theme park, they just feel would confuse people, or worse, give them yet another reason not to go to Epcot. So
it's strange, actually, going back on to what you were talking about Diagon Alley and stuff, Jim. I found it interesting when the TEA numbers came out for last year that the studios had something like a 32% bump in attendance. Yet Islands of Adventure was, according to those figures, exactly the same. And the whole idea of putting the Hogwarts Express in was to get people to buy those 2 park tickets and travel between the 2 parks. I find it strange that one had a huge bump and one didn't.
Well, but that's one of those things where you always have to be careful. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love the folks at TAA, and they do their jobs very well. But at the same time, that the way theme parks play with numbers sometimes, the way they keep track of people. For example, again, the Sam Genoway book talked about the first year that Universal Studios Florida opened, and that evidently there was an obvious drop in attendance for Disney MGM, and that, as the story goes, that Bruce Lavelle, the then VP of the studios, persuaded Disney in-house to basically harvest 2 million people off of Epcot's numbers and tack them onto the studio so they could still stay ahead. Or at least that's how Sam reports it in his book.
Right.
So, it's one of these things where it's like, I always, it's sort of like, oh, those are what your theme park numbers are, or those are what you on the outside project their theme park numbers to be. And I think the very thing you're talking about, the disparity there, was something that caught my eye as well, because it's like, face it, if people are buying tickets to that park and they're selling them on the whole Harry Potter experience, that traveling back and forth on the Hogwarts Express is a key element of that.
Yeah.
And from what I was hearing internally from Universal, this really honestly never became the issue that everybody thought it would be. They were they were so upfront about it. And, as you were entering the parks and they kept hammering home the, park to park ticket necessary. And, for lack of a better term, you've gotten off the plane, you're in Orlando, you're going to be paying too much for everything.
Yeah.
All right. Whether it's theme park admissions or, your $6 soda or whatever it is. I mean, it just, it always amazes me to be inside of a theme park and it's like, okay, so this is my $11 burger that I can buy if I walk outside this door and go down the street for $3. It's like, absolutely.
You see, the good thing is being a Brit coming over to America, that theme park food isn't that expensive to us. It's like, do you know what? It's actually not bad.
Really?
Yes. If you go to the theme parks in this country, then you'll know what having your eyes out means.
Yes.
Okay. Well, just be ready for the call from Universal. You said our food was cheap. Could you please say that again into the mic in front of the camera?
But it is. We've talked about it on the show. How many times? If you compare it to Disney, Universal is cheap. The last time we came over, we went to Mythos, and there was 7 of us.
I think it was 7, yeah.
Or 6. No, there was 6. Yeah, there was Darren, Eric, me, you, and the 2 kids.
All right, 6.
And it came, all right, we had annual pass
Travis not with us?
discount on that, no. And it came to less than $100, and that's a Universal signature restaurant. Yeah, we went, the 4 of us, to Liberty Tree Tavern, and it cost us well over $100.
And that was without starters.
With just 4 of us.
Yeah, that was just main courses.
Yeah.
I found that in every Disney restaurant we went to, we complained that the food was okay, but it was expensive. Yet we never found that in Universal.
No, and let's be honest here, a lot of that is Chef Steve Jason. I mean, this is a guy who really takes great pride in, creating good food, and Universal, you have to respect the fact that, that they can keep it at a price point that in Orlando seems reasonable. Whereas Disney, I mean, let's be honest here. I mean, Disney really has kind of operated on the whole walled city idea. If you look at, the stuff that they've done, in fact, I want to say just this year is the 10th anniversary of the Disney Express. And how many people now come to Disney, get off the plane, get on the Disney Express, go straight to property, and then suddenly realize I can't get out of here, not without hiring a cab, so you have to eat their food at their prices, or God help you, if you want to do a character dinner and you're there for a holiday, that they have, that's, I think, the thing that really ticks me off the most. But again, it's a business, is this whole notion of premium pricing for the season, so if you're there for Christmas, you can anticipate paying $5 to $10 more per character meal per person, because you're there, and it's like, you came at this time of year and this is where we bump our prices. So nanny poo poo,
but they're not even cheap any time of the year. No, we looked to book Cinderella's Royal Table the last time we came, and actually worked out for the 4 of us. I just went, there is no way I am paying that price.
Yes, we looked and looked away.
Sorry to cut into the character breakfast and things, but this is back. I just want to get back to Kong real quick before we wrap up here.
Sure.
Yeah. Just had a couple of questions about some rumors that we had that I wanted to run by you. First of all, the one thing we heard early on was that there would be 2 possible starts to the ride, one for an outdoor portion if the weather was good, and if the weather was bad, that you would go straight into the building. Did you hear anything about that?
I think, again, that's wishful thinking on somebody's part. I mean, face it, the part of the when you're building theme park attractions these days, you have to take into consideration the Americans with Disabilities Act. You have to take into consideration your hourly throughput. And the notion of in order to do that, you'd have to build 2 separate load-unload areas. You'd have to have your weather-friendly outdoor version, and then create an alternate queue that you could run people into the building and then load them up. And given what's being spent to build this thing, and knowing what a showman Mike West is, it just he's not going to do that. I mean, he wants you to be outside. He wants you to see that giant door open up.
Yeah.
So, that's I call shenanigans on that one. So,
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Definitely. The next one was, do you think that they'll actually have a full-sized animatronic Kong in the attraction?
Again, look, one of the reasons I love dealing with the folks at Universal is they legitimately have fun doing this. All right. Whether it's promoting the attractions. I mean, I remember standing with Tom Schroeder at a preview event for when they were bringing the Macy's Holiday Parade in, and they had just brought those Nutcracker float bicycle things down.
Oh, the balloonicles they were called, weren't they? That was right. We had great fun.
There we go. But they were allowing all the members of the press to climb on the bicycle and drive the Mouse King and that sort of thing around. And I'm really not a bicycle guy, so I'm sitting there talking with Tom, and behind us is the Transformer building, which is flying up overnight. And so just chatting with him about, okay, so this is going on, and so this is what you've got for your holiday period, and next year you've got that thing. And Tom goes, what thing? And turns around and just like, oh my God, how long is that? I will have to go back to the office and ask about that. I had no idea that was going on. And it's just like, I mean, that's the thing of this crew. They enjoy this part of the selling, promoting of an attraction. They are deliberately keeping stuff under wraps just for the sheer joy of when they put the art out there, when they put the images out there, people lose their minds.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So right now, they're in the middle of revealing Halloween Horror Nights. I mean, we had the Jason versus Freddie maze revealed. I'm sure sometime in the next week to 10 days, maze number 2 will be revealed.
I hope so.
But that's, and Kong, all will be revealed about Kong in good time. I'm just intrigued by the language we talked about earlier. That we know about the 3D film elements. We know about the hyper detailed sets and the animatronic props. Whether Kong is considered a prop, I just have the uneasy feeling that we probably won't get to see Kong as and you have to understand that part of the reason for that is these are the folks who operated Kongfrontation. They have very long memories about how difficult those figures were. Figures of that size are to operate and keep operating.
You only have to look at the Yeti.
Yes. Yeah, and the Yeti is half the size. I mean, a much more sophisticated figure, but half the size of what Kong was. I mean, I can't tell you at least 2 or 3 different times when I rode Kong. I mean, the figure Kongfrontation, the figure it's impressive as hell, except that his teeth had locked, and they were sort of hanging out over his lower lip, but he was like,
bless him.
The Universal team member at least had it on the ball enough to say, well, you have to understand he's, the film came out in 1933. He's over 70 years old.
Yeah,
his polygrip and stuff.
I know, Darren, I mentioned to you before, a mutual friend of ours who's involved in the theme park industry had told me that originally, yes, they wanted a full Kong animatronic in there, but as far as he'd heard, it had gone the way of the Optimus Prime.
Really?
So it's not going to happen.
So that's no running Kong.
Yeah, because they built the Optimus Prime animatronic for the end of the Transformers attraction, but they just deemed it too problematic to keep working on a day-to-day basis, and it was because it was that finale scene of when he rolls up and transforms in front of you, that if that didn't work, it ruined the entire finale of the attraction, and they just decided to go with the 3D screen for it, and it sounds like that's what they're going to do with Kong as well.
Wow, I'd never heard that story. Part of the problem was when you get in animatronics of this size, and more to the point, face it, when you see Optimus Prime, you've seen him, how many times in that attraction up until that point. He's moving at speed, and, he's very agile. And then you'd get to that final scene with hello, I am Optimus Prime, who's suddenly needs to take a nap. Just the problem with, and in fact, that was the thing that people loved about the Yeti, is nobody had ever done a figure that big that moved that quickly, that fluidly. That the only thing I think came close was the Journey to the Center of the Earth attraction for Tokyo Disney Seas, where they did the magma worm. But even then, you see this figure for seconds before, So let's be honest, how long did you see the Yeti?
Exactly.
It just figures that size, when you have to move them at speed, it's just tough.
Yeah.
So it is easier to fall back on screens. And especially when you make a story choice like that, when you show a character active and really moving and and then to suddenly go to hello, I'm the animatronic. It's like, wow, could we get this thing a double cappuccino? Because I think it's supposed to move faster than that.
It's just a lot of theme park fans are really disappointed that everything Universal seems to be doing is screen based.
Oh, but I always love that criticism, because it's like, think about it. Just look at the size and the hyper detail of the Kong Skull Island. Just what we can see so far of the outside of the building. All right, and or for that matter, what you pass through. The signage, the detailing of the Simpson ride, or the hyper detailed queue for Transformers. I mean, it's not like to hear people in the theme park and, oh my God, it screens. Just look at it. It's like you're not sitting there in a folding chair, all right? And somebody is showing you an 8mm footage on a screen. I mean, you're moving in this hyper programmed this vehicle, be it a scoop or whatever they call the vehicle for Transformers, and you're moving through dimensional sets with screens and wind effects and 3-dimensional sound, and it's just sort of like, really, that's what you're going to zero in on. You're going to say, oh, it just screens. It's like, no, it's a screen is one element of what they do, and it's not like I can, it's just like, wow, because if I go to Disney property, I never see a screen.
Exactly.
I'm in Toy Story Mania, and boy, that there's not a screen to be seen in that building. Or the Journey into Imagination, or it's just this weirdly selective thing that I think a lot of Disney fans do, because they have to find a reason to bitch about Universal.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, so they have just screens, where Disney has Pirates of the Caribbean. And it's like, well, yeah, sure. The thing that got built in 1973. So show me the big, dimensional attraction with only auto animatronics that Disney's done. I mean, even right now with the work that's being done on Frozen Ever After, will there be animatronics in that building? Absolutely. How much of the story are they going to impact? Maybe 10%. The rest is going to be dimensional sets and screens.
Right.
So,
And the last rumor about Kong I had is another one about kind of technical limitations and taking risks on that. Do you think what I had heard another rumor about was trackless vehicles?
Okay. If you look at the size of these things, okay, and in fact, I think we early on there were a bunch of us sort of eyeballing. I think it's 4 people per row. I think there are 6 rows, so you're looking at 24 people. I don't think trackless is the way, but especially with something like this where you are, it's one thing when you're doing something like the Ratatouille attraction for Disney Studios Paris, where it's, and there are some amazingly complex algorithms to that to make sure that you're always at the right focal length and that sort of thing. The more people you have in a vehicle, and more to the point, given that they're all facing forward in this thing because they're in basically car seats, I just, when you combine the weight of the vehicle, the number of people on board the vehicle, safety and load issues, I don't think trackless is the way to go here. I think that, that basically what you're looking at is that, and the thing of trackless is you have to have that moment that makes it sensible for it to be trackless.
Yeah.
Whether it's something like Mystic Manor, where you're all in the same room at the same time, or in, again, in the Ratatouille ride, there has to be a reason for it to be trackless. That, the notion of, hey, we're all in the same space and we're all almost getting stepped on.
You're interacting with each other.
Yeah, that's it exactly. And the whole notion of, what are they going to put a situation where Kong, which vehicle of people should I kill? Don't get me wrong. I mean, Universal has done, in fact, just look at King Kong 360. I mean, there's that wonderful moment in it where, what is it? The fake car at the end gets torn off and ges tossed.
Yeah, which is awesome. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's just one of those moments where suddenly the stakes of the ride really, you're like, wait a minute. Did we just lose a tram car? So look, Universal being Universal loves moments like that. But again, when you look at the whole trackless vehicle thing, there has to be a reason to use that. And don't get me wrong, we might be in a situation where we'd see different ride profiles somewhat similar to Indy. But again, with the Indiana Jones Adventure, I mean, in fact, I'm plugging books left and right here. David Koenig has just come out with a great book about Disney, how the lawyers have shaped the Disney theme parks. And there's 5 and 6 pages in this that talk about how so many people were injured on Indiana Jones Adventure because of the different ride profiles that would get really, really severe. And I mean, there were people who had, permanent back injuries or rotator cuffs. There were a couple of people actually had brain bleeds.
Ew.
All right. Oh. So, so it's one of these things where when you get into that sort of thing, like, hi, did you get the rough ride? In today's world of theme parks being shaped by what the attorneys say, I really don't see that happening. It's more to the point of just give the best possible ride and have enough detail and have it be intense enough that people want to get off the ride, go, holy crap, that was great, and get back online again. That's kind of the world we live in now. It's and face it, part of the reason for that is that the admission price for theme parks has gotten to be so high that one of the things about the industry today is that people, when they do the surveys of people going out the gate, if people have managed in their day in a theme park to get 10 different attractions in, they go home happy. Just sort of like they feel like they get their money's worth, especially in this age of intense 4-minute long shows.
Yeah.
If on the other hand you drop below that, if it's only 9 or it's only 8, then people do start to bitch, and they, I paid all this money and I couldn't get on anything.
Yeah.
That's actually one of the reasons why you'll see in the next year to 15 months, Disney's going to roll out the brand new version of My Disney Experience Magic Bands, and that's the thing where you sit at home and you can program. You're going to get any park any day. They're going to give the opportunity to book 10 experiences in advance.
Oh my God!
But remember, in Disney's eyes, an experience is, you have your character breakfast at Crystal Palace in the morning.
Do you have to go on the toilet for a poo as well? Is that part of it?
But the weird thing is, for a lot of people who are intimidated about, face it, it's not like Disney World or Universal is just down the street. You got to get on a plane. You got to, you got to book a hotel room. You got to get a rental car. And then you arrive there with your family who are looking to you as the parent to sort of like, let's have a good time. Let's, you know what you're doing, right? Your dad, your mom, And so to be in a situation like this where it's like, hey, look, I booked this out 10 things in advance. And, I know at 10 o'clock at night, we're standing at a primo spot to watch the fireworks. And I know that, I've got us booked onto all of the great thrill rides for the day. There's a lot of people, theme park newbies, who love this.
Yeah, I can understand that.
And Universal, has kind of eyeballed it. And though the interesting thing, this is probably what we should wrap the show on, but the key difference between Disney and Universal right now is that, think about it, if you look at what Disney's done lately, whether it's supposed to be $1 billion, actually wound up being $2 billion, but everything they had to spend to develop and then install and then debug Magic Bands and Disney Experience and that sort of thing. Or, for example, all of the money that they're spending now on redoing, increasing capacity at the Magic Kingdom by redoing the hub and all that, and creating the walkway behind between Main Street and Tomorrowland, so people can get out of the park that much easier when it's a busy time, or all the money that's being spent down at Lake Buena Vista to turn downtown Disney into Disney Springs. This is all stuff, this is really all back of the house stuff. It's not really in the front window.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Whereas Universal spent probably just as much money. But it's all front window. It's all things like Diagon Alley or something like Volcano Bay, which, again, you're going to be able to see from the highway. I mean, this is all stuff that they're very competitive financially, but they just have two very different visions about what you do. But again, to be fair, Disney World is a mature resort. All right. Yeah. So you're in the situation where it's like, okay, I've got my Polynesian hotel. It's the most, popular, beloved, resort on property. How do I add new rooms? I create these exclusive bungalows that look out on the water, and they're really popular. So we're going to do the same idea over at Disney's Wilderness Lodge. Whereas with Universal, I mean, it's just this whole notion of, when we're going to build a brand new hotel, we're going to build, our first, moderate, but we're going to make it have so much detail that you think it's a high end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got Cabana Bay, you got Sapphire Falls, and then you got whatever the hell's going over on Wet and Wild. And, they're really, really smart people. And it's definitely going to be interesting to see, if this is a decades long game of chess with Disney up the road. You got to wonder what piece they're now going to bring to the board, and, you got to assume, when Wet and Wild closes in 2006 and they start dismantling that, come 2017, 2018, we might finally get some word. But it being Universal, it'll be a vague press release, and we won't see anything for 15 months.
Yeah. And it'll be at
built already.
And it'll be at 2 o'clock in the morning on a Friday or something when everyone's in bed.
All right. Well, yeah, that seems like a great spot to wrap this up here. Thanks again for coming on, Jim. It's always great to have you here.
This has been
always
awesome.
enjoyed chatting, guys.
It's been really entertaining. I've loved every second.
Again, if you leave the back door open, I'll wander in. So
I'll pop some food down.
It's always open for you, Jim.
It is.
Excellent. Well, that will do it for episode 152. For Lee, Tracy, and Jim, this is Darren, and this has been the unofficial Universal Orlando podcast.
Well, that wraps up another unofficial Universal Orlando podcast. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, and YouTube. Just search the word UUO Podcast. We'd love to hear from you, so if you've seen something hilarious in the parks, let us know for our Funny Schmidt segment. And if you've had a great experience with a team member, we want to hear about that too. So to get in touch with us, email us at podcast@uuopodcast.com or record us a message at speakpipe.com/uuopodcast. Please subscribe to us on iTunes and rate and review the show. That would be amazing. Not an Apple user? No problem. You can find us on Stitcher, at uuopodcast.libsyn.com, as well as many other podcast apps. And don't forget to check out our sponsors, Fairy Godmother Travel, for all your Universal vacation needs. Head over to our partner site, micechat.com, for even more theme park news, and check out micepod.com. So until next time, be adventurous.
This has been a MicePod.com presentation.
Mice Chat!